This week we have probably the Packers' biggest game of the entire season. If the Packers win this game on Sunday at Lambeau Field, 3:25 p.m. Central, the Packers will make the playoffs in Jordan Love's first season. There is still a chance they make the playoffs. If they lose, it's a lot more complicated. They need multiple teams to win for that to happen. But clearly, easiest way for the Packers to make the playoffs is to beat the Chicago Bears. And if we look back to week one when the Packers and Bears played, the Packers won 38-20, but it's a much different Bears team now at this point in the season. The Bears were 2-7 to start the year, looking real bad. Now they're 5-2 in the last 7 games. They're currently 7-9. So if the Bears were to beat the Packers on Sunday, both teams would end the season with the exact same record. And the biggest improvement that we have seen from the Chicago Bears in this later half of the season is their defense. They went from being one of the worst in the first few weeks of the season to now in the past 5 games, they're only allowing 15.2 points per game. And if they had done that all season long, allowed 15.2 points per game, they would be the number one defense in the NFL. The Bears are playing really good defense, which is why they've been winning lots of their games. And I think that when you look at Jordan Love, this Packers offense, we've seen Jordan Love be able to dice up pretty good defenses. Example, last week the Vikings, I think they're about the 10th best scoring off our defense in the NFL. Jordan Love had no problems, even without some of his top receivers. Christian Watson out, Dontavian Wicks out, Jaden Reed leaving after the first quarter. Of course, Luke Musgrave still is not yet returned because of his lacerated kidney. And I think the biggest takeaway from the season for the Packers is that Jordan Love is a very good quarterback. Top 10 easy, maybe even top 5. I think he can definitely get there next season. He may even be playing at that level the past few weeks. And so I have all the confidence in the world in Jordan Love, facing off a very good defense, a defense that traded for Montez Sweat, who has played pretty well. I think he has 6 sacks since early November. And one of the biggest positives and strengths of this Packers team, which has been this way for a while, is their offensive line. So even though Montez Sweat is a very good rusher, all in all, the Bears are 30th in sacks per game. The Packers have allowed the 3rd fewest sacks in the league at 1.8 per game. And Jordan Love, even when he faces lots of blitzes, faces lots of pressure, he doesn't lose his focus. He doesn't lose his confidence. He plays really well. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season when facing the blitz. And even last week when Brian Flores was sending a ton of guys at him in different kind of ways, it doesn't affect Jordan Love. And so even if the Bears are playing really well, there's no doubt it's probably a tougher task than the Vikings defense this past week if the Bears continue to play as they have played. But I see no reason why Jordan Love and this offense won't continue to thrive, especially at Lambeau Field. The only way where I think things go south for this Packers team is, let's say, first couple drives, they go out there and sort of lay a dud in the first few drives. That's where you sort of get worried, because there's no doubt that this Packers team is best when they get going quickly. They get a lead. The defense plays better. The offense sort of takes control. In the past couple games, another big aspect of this Packers team, Packers offense that wasn't there early, is Aaron Jones. The fact that he's healthy now, he's had 2 straight really great rushing games, averaged 6 yards a carry last week against the Minnesota Vikings. And so this Packers offense just clicks on a whole another level when the running game is going as it has. And the Bears, one of their strengths is their running defense. They're the best running defense in the NFL this entire season. So it may be tough to run the ball on them. The Packers, do a lot of play action off of the run. When the run's going well, play action works even better. And it's going to be a little tougher to run the ball against this Bears team. But I just really, as I said, have so much confidence in Jordan Love and what he's been able to do that even if this is a close game, if the Bears offense is able to put up points, I'm still going to rock with Jordan Love because he's shown that against even really talented defenses, he can still play at a top tier level. The Packers may also get Christian Watson back this week, potentially Dontavian Wicks. Jaden Reed seems like he should be ready to go. And so this Packers wide receiver core will probably be even healthier than it was last week. And we've just seen the depth the Packers have at receiver. Doesn't matter if guys go down, other guys step up, like Bo Melton, who had the first 100-yard receiving game for the Packers this past week. And if we look to the other side of the ball and the Chicago Bears offense, there's lots of discussion right now about Justin Fields. Is he the future in Chicago? Should the Bears use the number 1 pick they have to potentially switch up at quarterback, draft a Caleb Williams, draft a Drake May? Lots of Bears fans, I think, were enticed by the way that Justin Fields played last week against the Atlanta Falcons. He had a really good game, was very accurate, had some really nice deep throws to DJ Moore. DJ Moore has been one of the better receivers in the NFL this season. But in my opinion, if you look at Justin Fields in his 3 seasons in Chicago, he still hasn't been that good. I think he's been average. He's been inconsistent. If we look at his past 6 games, 5 passing touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So the Bears' success has largely been due to the play of the defense. And if we look at Fields' some other stats, 28th this season in completion percentage, 23rd in passer rating. He has 5 turnovers in the last 5 games. And so as a Packers fan, I hope the Bears decide to stick with Justin Fields. I hope that they decide to stick with him because I don't think that they're going to be as much of a threat for years to come as they would be with someone like Caleb Williams or Drake May. I sort of think we already see what Justin Fields is in 3 seasons, and he hasn't really reached any top tier level as a passer. I still think he's a below average passer. He's really good with his legs, which could be a problem against this Packers defense, who has struggled at times. Guys like DeVito ran all over us so many times that game against the Giants. DeVito, pressure comes on the outside. He runs up the middle. He had a big day on the ground. And so even though my opinion on Justin Fields is that he shouldn't be the quarterback in Chicago going forward, we have to remember that this Packers defense has been really bad. Outside of last week, this has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL for, the 3-4 games before this past week against the Vikings. And I was rewatching that game against the Vikings, and there were lots of opportunities for the Vikings to push the ball down the field, and Jaren Hall, who started the game for the Vikings, just didn't see the guys. He was not playing well whatsoever. Very young, inexperienced quarterback. And my guess is if even a guy like Justin Fields was playing quarterback last week for the Vikings, there were so many guys who were wide open at times. And I think that Valentine did a pretty good job all in all. But there are lots of moments, Valentine getting beat by Jordan Addison. Hall doesn't see Addison. Pressure was helping a lot with the Packers. But there were lots of moments in coverage where there were coverage breakdowns that Hall either just didn't see a guy wide open, he had tons of inaccurate throws, or the Packers pass rush got there in time. And so I'm not sold on this Packers defense being of the caliber of, the way they played last week, all in all, when it comes to, the Vikings and how many points they scored. And I do think this is going to be a tough test for the Packers defense because a guy like Justin Fields, if you're not able to contain him and keep him in the pocket, if he starts to break away like we saw DeVito do, and DeVito is nowhere near the athlete that Justin Fields is. And so we need guys like Quay Walker who, maybe he'll be a spy there and spy on Justin Fields and sort of because of his quickness and speed be able to maybe minimize Justin Fields and his rushing ability. And if we look at the first game the Packers played the Bears, Justin Fields, he didn't have the greatest day. He had about, I think it was like 60 or so rushing yards. And I think the one way the Bears beat the Packers is if Justin Fields has a big day on the ground. They've also been running the ball really well with Khalil Herbert. And the Packers' biggest weakness this season, no doubt, has been their very poor rushing defense, which is 28th in rush yards allowed per game. And I think the one positive we've seen, at least the past 3 games in the Packers' defense, is their ability to sack the quarterback. All in all this season, the Packers' defense is around 21st, or actually 20th when it comes to sacks per game. But the past 3 games, they are the 6th best team in the NFL when it comes to sacks per game at 3.7. So last week we saw Preston Smith have a big day. We saw Rashawn Gary, who, always is getting consistent pressure. Kenny Clark is a beast out there. And so the Packers need to throw off Justin Fields, get pressure out there, not allow him to have the time to pick apart the Packers defense, which is pretty easy. We've seen Bryce Young do it. We saw Baker Mayfield do it. Bryce Young, of course, who has not played well this season, had his best day as a passer in his NFL career in his first season against the Packers defense. And so I'm not just sold on what happened last week with the Packers playing well against a poor quarterback. And as I said, there were lots of holes in the defense that Hall just didn't take advantage of. Another factor to consider is the fact that Jair Alexander could be back this week. I think he's clearly an upgrade over Corey Ballantyne, who has played pretty good at times, but also I don't think he's the best cornerback out there. I'm more confident in Jair and Valentine than I am in Ballantyne, and I would assume the Packers do that this Sunday against Justin Fields. And with DJ Moore being out there, the caliber of receiver he is, there's no doubt. The Packers need Jair. And watching his press conference yesterday, he sounds like he's ready to come back, ready to return. He feels bad or seemingly remorseful of how he acted and what led to his suspension. And so it should be great to have Jair Alexander back out there in the Packers secondary. I think the biggest key in this game is going to be turnovers, as it typically is in most NFL games. But another major reason the Bears have been so good these past, 5, 6, 7 games is they have forced an insane amount of turnovers. In the past 6 games, they are plus 11 in turnover margin. They also lead the league in interceptions at 22. Matt LaFleur said the other day there's not a lot of holes in their defense, and that Love needs to do a good job with his eyes. And so it's going to come down to turnovers. Can Jordan Love keep doing what he's done the past 7 games, where he rarely turns the ball over, has 16 touchdowns to only 1 interception? Those are Aaron Rodgers type numbers in the past 7 games. And this is going to be a bigger challenge when it comes to the Bears and their ability to, keep their eye on the quarterback, get those interceptions. Love has to, sort of stay in line and not make any poor decisions, which I think we've really seen him grow in from, we had that poor stretch early in October or so, lose 4 games. But since then, Love has been really good, very good decisions. He hasn't had many balls that even had the chance of being intercepted, and we've really seen his growth time and time and time again. And the Packers, on the other hand, need to try to find a way to, get some more forced fumbles, as we saw last week with Preston Smith. Maybe Justin Fields makes some bad decisions. And honestly, if Justin Fields played as he did last week against the Falcons every single game, I would say that Fields should be the Bears quarterback going forward. The thing with Fields is he has lots of ups and downs. And last week was a solid game by Fields, no doubt. And maybe he plays that way this week. If he does, I do think it could be a close game. But I still have more trust in the Packers offense, putting up more points than the Bears offense, in my opinion. And I think when we look at this game, we do have to consider the fact that the Bears, they're clearly going to be motivated to come into Lambeau Field just as the Lions were last year, as the Lions did last year, and sort of shut down the Packers and their playoff chances. There's no doubt, as a division rival, that's going to be big on their mind. They're going to come out playing really, really tough, and the Packers, need to come into this game, handle business, and not take this game for granted. Not look ahead to say, oh well, if we make the playoffs, they just have to focus on this game, which it seems to me like they are doing. Guys like Jordan Love experienced the loss last year to Detroit, and so I imagine Matt LaFleur as well is being very focused on this game and not allowing maybe the future to sort of distract them from the task at hand, which is to beat the Chicago Bears in a massive game on Sunday. If the Packers win this game, they make the playoffs with Jordan Love in his first season, which will be a massive accomplishment in year one, which I think most of us, said if Jordan Love just proves he's the guy in year one, then that's a pretty successful season for the Packers, even if they miss the playoffs. I think the playoffs is sort of like that cherry on top of a very, very good Jordan Love year, and they have a good chance to do it this Sunday. But it could be a close game because, honestly, I don't trust the Packers' defense still. I still think that there's been lots of inconsistency. We saw a solid game last week. I think that Fields is going to be able to take advantage with his legs. They're going to be able to put up some points, in my opinion. But as I said, I still trust the Packers' offense more. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. They've done it for the past 2 weeks. I see no reason why it won't continue, even against a very good Chicago Bears defense. So my score prediction for this game is going to be Packers 27, Bears 17. I think the Packers are going to make the playoffs. That is my opinion. Please comment your score prediction in the comments down below. I will be out with more videos this week. Also, we'll put out my reaction video. Hopefully, we're making the playoffs because I don't want to sit here again in this final week and miss out on the playoffs like we did last year. So let's hope for the best. It's going to be an exciting game, no doubt. But thank you so much for watching. If you want more Packers content, Packers news, feel free to subscribe down below. Turn the post notifications so you never miss any Packers content. And I'll see you guys next time.